Colorado no longer has a statewide mask mandate. Governor Jared Polis lifted that restriction late last week. And while there's no statewide order, many businesses can still choose to require them. Medical editor Dr. Dave Naida is here now to help us decipher it all. And Dr. Dave, is it really time to say goodbye to masks?
Well, I think for some of us, yes. For some of us, this is not too fast. I think that it's a situation where the messaging on this has been rather abrupt. It's been quick, and it certainly was unexpected. I think it would have been better had it been a little bit more of a phased reintroduction to this information. And I think that actually if you would have set a date maybe 4 weeks from now or mid-June, maybe it would have been a little bit more appropriate and certainly easier. I think there are 3 specific things to keep in mind when it comes to this new guidance. And number 1 is that half of the people in our state are not fully vaccinated yet. People have gotten their first dose, they're waiting on their second dose. Some people are still waiting on their first dose. Some people have not had access to vaccination yet. Other folks are planning to get vaccinated. Maybe they're on the fence, but at some point will wind up going ahead and doing so. Then take a look at the group of children. Parents are sitting here going, what are we supposed to do? This is a large group of the population who need to be taken into account when it comes to mask mandates. And then there's a third group to keep in mind here. It's more than 30 million Americans who have had cancer. They have cancer now, or they have some sort of medical condition that compromises their immune system, either the condition or the medication that they take. And there really has been a lack of guidance in terms of what these people should be doing in light of these new recommendations. They may have been vaccinated, but their vaccine may not be very helpful. So there's a little bit of confusion there. So I think really the big news here is that the pandemic is not really officially over. We still have more than 500 Coloradans in the hospital at this point in time. You can't flip a switch and say, we're good. I think that a more phased-in approach would have been a little bit more appropriate and certainly more helpful.
Right. It came kind of suddenly and left a lot of even businesses wondering what to do. We know the state is following the guidelines when it comes to masks, which relies on people being honest about whether or not they've been vaccinated. Do you think a vaccine honor system will work?
Well, I trust mankind. I believe that the vast majority of Americans would in fact be very honest about this. But unfortunately, there is a small but yet significant portion of the population who I don't think would have any qualms about lying about the vaccination at all. I think that the honor system is something that really may not be as effective as we would like it to be. I think when you take a look at the big picture, there are about at least 20%, 25% of Americans who say they're simply not going to get vaccinated under any circumstance. And so that's a lot of people. And the big question will be, well, are they going to be able to follow an honor system in order to be able to go somewhere? There really is no teeth to an honor system. There is no incentive to be vaccinated. You could say, well, you don't have to wear a mask. Well, some people are just simply not going to wear a mask because they're not going to unfortunately be truthful about this whole situation. I do think that the answer that would be helpful at this point in time is some sort of verification of vaccination. I think that there are people who say, well, you can't do that because it's really none of your business. Actually, this is a giant pandemic that has turned our country completely upside down over the last 15 months. We've had 580,000 Americans die from COVID. So it is everybody's business. And then, other people have privacy concerns. And the answer to that is, well, you don't want people knowing whether or not you've been vaccinated, but you certainly have no problem with privacy issues if you have a driver's license, if you have a cell phone, if you're on Facebook, if you have a Twitter account. Those things just don't count. I applaud small businesses who are actually asking for vaccine verification, proof of vaccination. I think that's great. And for larger businesses, larger retail, for example, I really love those companies who are saying, we can't tell who's vaccinated, who's not. So for the time being, we're going to continue to just do a mask mandate just to play it safe until things get a little bit more straightened out. I really applaud those companies as well.
Yeah, it goes back to that, a lot of confusion going on right now. You brought this up earlier about kids that are too young to be vaccinated, and how do parents navigate that?
Boy, this is really a big challenge for parents. And frankly, I just think that, with what just came out, the CDC and local state government has actually made society a little less comfortable, a little less safe for children. So parents, what do you do in a situation like this? I think, you have kids who cannot be vaccinated at this point in time. So I think first off, you recognize that although kids can get COVID, it does tend to be a less severe illness in children. Although there can be some severe cases, it's not zero risk, but the risk is in fact low. I think that you have to take a look at the individual risk for your child. Does your child have asthma or some other underlying condition, or is there someone in the household who maybe is not fully protected because they have an underlying condition? You make an individual decision based on that. Thirdly, I think when you take a look at locations, children, I think, are safe in an outdoor situation. I think outdoors is pretty much safe for the vast majority of people. Indoor situations, I think you have to look at on a very case-by-case basis when it comes to unvaccinated children, especially with masking. And then let's say you are going to go somewhere with your child, and let's just say it's a retail store where masks may not be required, but your child will be wearing a mask. Perhaps it's a good idea for you to wear a mask as well, just to help your child through this. This has been a rough time for adults, but it's been an especially rough time for children. I think as supportive as you can be for your child, the better it will be. And incidentally, on a note regarding vaccination for children, I do think we are looking at the end of this year as a time when vaccination will be available for younger children. And I think that certainly will help out in the overall big picture.
Great information. Thanks for walking us through all these questions right now. We really appreciate it, Dr. Dave. We'll talk to you again next Monday at 11 a.m. to get more coronavirus and vaccine questions answered. We'll be right back.